Dustin Lampros. I'm 27 from Freeburg, Illinois. I'm fighting out of Sanford MMA in Deerfield Beach, Florida. How are you guys doing?
We're good, man. How are you? This is a big moment. You're kicking the day off. How are you feeling right now?
I'm feeling wonderful, on cloud nine.
Well, talk to us about your journey, man. I mean, obviously, getting into martial arts. Where did it start for you?
I'm from the Midwest, and actually where I'm from, there isn't really any martial arts. Kind of just stumbled upon it. I think it was more or less like destiny, I would say. But I started off at a little gym when I was like 14. I started training like once a week maybe, just kind of wanting to learn how to defend myself and whatnot. And then my dad was actually buying tickets to a show on my 15th birthday for me and my friends to go to, and the promoter was like, do you know anybody that would want to fight? And we need some guys. And he's like, oh, I'll ask my son. So he asked me, and I took my first kickboxing fight on my 15th birthday. And that's kind of how it all kind of unraveled. But throughout high school, I was into football, baseball, mainstream sports, and kind of fell off from the fighting and the training. And then when I was 17, I met Tyron Woodley at a church in Washington Park, and kind of told him that I was a big fan of MMA. I loved it, and he invited me out to one of his gyms. And he said, well, he didn't have the gym yet. He had the gym in like 2 years. So he's like, in 2 years, I'll have a gym, come out and train with me. So after my senior year, I was in St. Louis after my last football game, kind of like, what am I gonna do? And I was like, let's call Tyron Woodley, see if he has that gym open. So we called him. He had the gym open for like 3 months at the time, and I went out there and started training with him, and had my first 3 amateur fights under him.
That's crazy. So I guess, did you have the support of your family the whole time? Imagine if your dad signed you up for kickboxing at 15, that he supported you.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, my parents supported me. They didn't really know anything about it. My dad poured concrete for a living. My mom, she painted and was a bartender. So, they didn't really know a whole lot. They thought it was cool, and they were there for me.
That's awesome. So have you had to support yourself through other means on the way, or has it just been all fighting the whole way?
Yeah, no. So I didn't go to college. I trained. I would drive like an hour to St. Louis every day because I'm from Southern Illinois. I would go over and train with Tyron, and then when I think it was 19, my 3rd amateur fight, I broke my hand, and I was kind of out of commission. I was just in rehab with it, and my dad owned a little concrete company, so I'd work with him from time to time. I worked as a physical therapist assistant from that rehab place. I was there for so long that I was like, hey, you guys should hire me. So they ended up hiring me, and I worked there for like 9 months. And then it was about that time where Tyron was taking off with his career, and he was like, listen, if you really want to make a career out of this, you need to head down to South Florida and dedicate your life to it. So within like a day and a half, I packed my car and I was gone, like literally on a day's notice. I had a girlfriend of 3 years at the time, my family, everything, and I made a very big decision, and I headed down to South Florida for training.
Undefeated so far in the career, right? So, I guess, do you feel like it was the right decision for you?
Yeah, of course. Not having a background, and, I consider when I moved down to South Florida, my first real training, understanding what it is to be a professional mixed martial artist, or a mixed martial artist in general. When I was training back home, I was training once, twice a week. Still being just an average 18, 19-year-old kid, wasn't really in it. And then when I moved down there, that's when, I understood, like, holy shit, like, what am I getting myself into? I was down there at an American Top Team, and it was, the best of the best. So I got kind of thrown in there with the Sharks as an amateur on the pro team, and I just had to learn how to swim from there.
That's amazing. So you started out at ATT and then went over to Sanford?
Yeah, I was there for like 3 years, and then I went home for a little bit and tried to help my mom out. And about 8 months later, and I turned pro when I went home, went 2-0, kind of decided, I got to get back down to Florida. The training there wasn't what I needed. I was behind in the game, 21, 22 years old. Starting off in Florida, that was the first time I ever really started training. All these guys have been doing it since they were kids, so I had a lot of catching up to do, and I knew that. So after those first 2 pro fights, I knew I needed more, so I went back to Florida. And when I went back, the decision was to, go to Sanford. I met Henry Hoof, and talked to him, and I liked how he ran his training, so I joined over there.
Yeah, not a bad team to be with.
No, not at all.
The Ultimate Fighter, obviously, it's been gone for a couple years. So, I mean, had you thought about this show as an opportunity or a platform at all?
So it's crazy to me, like I said, how I got into MMA. The reason I knew about MMA was from The Ultimate Fighter. When I was in like 6th grade, that 2006 or 2005 when the first one came out, I watched it on TV. You know, in the Midwest, I'm surrounded by cornfields and back roads. We don't have, you know, really anything else to do at night or just period. So I'm watching TV all the time, and that's how I seen it. I seen The Ultimate Fighter, and I was like, whoa, this is amazing, you know? I never really thought at first like that would end up being my career, but I thought, how cool would that ever, you know, be? Like, that's a dream right there. And I'm sitting here now fulfilling my dream. It's insane.
That's awesome. Do you remember who, like, I don't know if you remember the first season you saw, but do you remember, like, some of the names that stuck with you off The Ultimate Fighter?
I believe it was, like, my favorite fighter, Forrest Griffin.
Really?
Yeah. That was the first season.
Yeah. So it was the original Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, that's how I kind of fell in love with MMA. You know, I didn't know what MMA was. When I was a kid, I had little boxing gloves and mitts, and I always wanted to do boxing, but then I seen that. I'm like, wow, they get to slam people. Like, this is insane. I love it.
That's awesome. Last thing for me, talk to me about what this opportunity means. I mean, a USC contract. You're still very early in your career, right? You're still a young guy. I mean, I don't know that it's like, if you don't do it now, you'll never do it or whatever. But, I mean, does it feel like this is the moment for you?
Yeah, 100%. You know, past 6.5 years, I've dedicated my life to the sport. You know, I gave up everything. I've been away from my family. You know, my relationship with my family is through an iPhone, you know, and that sucks, you know. And I knew that without having a background, I had to do that. I knew that I had to put 100% everything into it. You know, I haven't even been in a relationship with a female for the past 6.5 years, just so I wouldn't give myself any excuse ever to, you know, say, oh, this is why I didn't make it, you know. Dean Thomas at the time was one of my coaches, and he was like, listen, you know, you're 22, 23 years old. You don't have any background in this. You can't work a job right now like full time. You can't do that. You know, you got to figure out a way. So I did everything I could to be able to train full time to get my skills where they needed to be. But yeah, I think this is the time. The time's now for me, and I think this is going to be a great opportunity for me to showcase the world my skills, and I'm excited.
Just come from me. For those who haven't seen you before, what would you describe your fighting style as?
Definitely a freestyle fighter. I had to pick up the game from scratch, so I learned every area. You know, I feel comfortable everywhere. So I would definitely describe it as a scrappy style, like my nickname. You know, I come out there, I just want to fight. Any way I can get the finish, I'm coming for it, you know. I preferably like to stand and trade, you know, but yeah, I'm very aggressive, and that's how I'd describe it probably.
Was it your birthday 2 days ago?
Yeah, I just turned 27.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
So leading into an opportunity like this, do you think, well, this is probably my last chance to party it up for a while, so did you have a good night out, or did you stay dedicated and get ready to come into this fresh?
Well, we've been quarantined in the hotel for the past 7 days, so
that then.
I had a party of one in my room, sitting there just, you know, dancing, getting the music, but no, I've been staying dedicated and sharp and, you know, locked in for the past 5 months for this, you know, so yeah. But it's nice this is the best birthday present ever. I mean, couldn't you guys agree?
Happy birthday.
Thank you, my man.
Just asking about the coaches, you know, what do you know, like, how do you see them, and which team, if you could choose, like, would you prefer?
I think the coaches, like the pair of them being coaches, is pretty cool, especially being close to our weight class. You know, I like that. You know, Volkanovski, he's kind of more of my build, more of my style, and I like that. And then on the other hand, you have Brian Ortega, who's awesome. You know, the fans love him. Everybody loves him. His style, especially his ground game, is something that I would like to learn from. I don't really have a preference. I think in a fight situation, it would be nice to have a grappling coach there that knows exactly what to do in case I get in a bad position. But either way, I'm just blessed to be on either of their teams.